One of the most talked about relationships on Sex and the City is, of course, Carrie and Big. But honestly, I think the worst boyfriend is actually hiding in plain sight. Hi, I'm Beth Nicole, and I talk about all things fashion, pop culture, and TV. And today we are dragging Steve Brady, the so called nice guy who might actually be worse than Big.
Miranda, you're the one.
Bartender, puppy dog eyes, framed as Miranda's sweet, innocent boyfriend. But I see through the act, okay? I see through it underneath a manipulative, boundary pushing man child who slowly turns Miranda into his mother, and not the cunty kind that we like.
I don't want to become your mother.
For context, in the first Sex and the City movie, we find out that Steve cheats on Miranda because they aren't having sex. So, cheating, check, already big level behavior. But what makes Steve even worse is that he frames this all in the guise that he is the nice guy. So let's discuss why Steve is actually the worst boyfriend on Sex and the City. Steve constantly tests Miranda's boundaries. And honestly, it's exhausting. Miranda's this high powered lawyer, very girl boss, New York City girl, got her shit together. Steve, well, he works at a bar. Don't come for me, okay? I respect people who work at bars. I myself have been a waitress before. All I'm saying is that she quite clearly has a very important high level job. And he, works at a bar. Like, there is a distinctive difference between the two. Very mentally exhausting, a lot on the line, very important job. He can't get that into his little pea brain. He waltzes in at 4 a.m. after a shift, wakes her up when she's exhausted, pulls her out of work to go and look at puppies when she's got a really important meeting to prep for. He has no respect for her time or her profession. And while he isn't unemployed, he is broke and he displays jobless behaviour. Now, this term was coined by the icon Mike's Mike, another YouTuber who is just brilliant and iconic. And if you don't know him, you need to go get to know him because he is my favourite YouTuber. But he once said that there's a difference between unemployment and being jobless. You can be unemployed but not exhibit jobless behaviour. And you can be employed and exhibit jobless behaviour. You see the distinction? Okay, and now Steve falls into the jobless behaviour category. While he may be employed, he very much is jobless. And there are actually so many examples of his jobless behaviour, and disrespecting the time is one of many, but he also has some really weird complex around money, and the fact that she obviously makes a lot more money than him, and he really enjoys guilt tripping her. Is his signature move, and we see him try and guilt trip her around money when she needs to go to a event for work and wants to bring him with her and buy him a new suit, and he can't afford it, and he ends up like maxing out 10 credit cards, and she's there like, I will just pay for you to buy this suit, like I would rather just buy you this suit, I have the money, I understand that you don't. She's being very lovely, very nice, very considerate, and he like gets in an absolute funk about it and like gets all toxic masculinity about it and like moody, and then doesn't end up coming to the event with her. And I think it's so rude. And then she's all upset at this event because she's on her own, and now she feels bad for just not letting him wear what he already owns, even though he looked like a slobby, jobless man. Where in reality, he should have been so thankful that she wanted to buy him something, but instead he like threw a hissy fit because that's his own issue that he needs to work through. Like, if you aren't making enough money and you need more money, go get another job. Like, do better. Or don't date a highly successful, cunty lawyer woman. Like, what did you expect? But his signature move definitely is guilt tripping. We also see this in season 2, episode 9, where Miranda says that Saturday is her only day to get things done, run her errands. It's the only time she has free. Steve pouts about it, guilt trips her into staying just to cuddle. Sir, excuse me, sir, she just told you her schedule and you're weaponizing cuddles. It's giving immature, it's giving selfish, it's giving man-child behavior. But it doesn't stop there. No, it really doesn't, unfortunately. He wants a baby because he thinks it would be fun.
We should do it. We should have a baby.
Yeah, right.
I seen a TikTok today and it really made me giggle. And it was a girl, like this gorgeous girl, walking with the writing over saying, I want a boyfriend in the same concept that men want children. I don't actually want to look after it. I just want it there for fun. So, Steve Brady, he doesn't want children because he will not bear the labor of those children. And later into the seasons, we see that as the case when Miranda actually does have a baby to this man. Don't know what the hell has gotten into her. And he thinks it will be fun because he lives in this fantasy land. And this is another really big red flag for me when it comes to Steve, is that he really does have this sort of toxic positivity. And if you don't know what toxic positivity is, it's basically just, like those like accounts and they preach positivity and manifestation and they never allow for negative emotions, for any sort of emotion except positivity. And if you are a sane human being, you understand that that's not how the world works, honey. People get sad, people have bad days, that's normal, that's okay. And if anything, it's healthy. But they like put you down for like ever exhibiting any sort of negative attributes. That is what Steve is to me. That man is toxic positivity in a nutshell. He thinks everything is just so easy and so la di da di da because it's never him who has to pick up the responsibility. And when Miranda puts the facts to him about why having a baby actually wouldn't be fun right now, he gets really sulky and moody with her. And bear in mind, at this point, they have only been dating for a mere few months, so to even suggest a baby is absolutely insanity, and clearly this man is unhinged. Honestly, Steve to me feels less like a boyfriend and more like a 30-year-old toddler who leaves Scooby-Doo on the telly when you're trying to get your work done. And if anything, I feel like a toddler would actually have more reasoning and more critical thinking skills. So, why does she choose him? Why does Miranda, the smartest, most level headed of the group, end up with Steve? Because the writers punished her. From season 1, Miranda was set up as independent, ambitious, and uninterested in catering to men.
How does it happen that 4 such smart women have nothing to talk about but boyfriends? It's like 7th grade with bank accounts. What about us? What we think, we feel, we know, Christ. Does it always have to be about them?
But instead of letting her arc explore that, they shoved her into Steve's manipulative nice guy trap. I've seen a Venn diagram that someone made on TikTok, and at the top it was Delulu, realistic, knows what they want, doesn't know what they want, and they all like fitted perfectly in it. And Miranda was realistic, doesn't know what she wants. And this feels so true, and especially with the writing, it's almost as if she was set to take on the independent female who doesn't really care about male validation and is sick of her friends always talking about men, and somewhere along the line lost her way and had almost FOMO and was watching her friends, get married and have these relationships. So she wanted to keep up with the Joneses in that way, gave in to the idea of Steve. I don't believe she ever fully wanted that from him, wanted this so intense relationship, wanted a baby with him, but it kind of just happened that way. And I do think the writing sort of pushed it in that direction, maybe because in the 90s, even though it was a very progressive show, people weren't really into a feminist who stood on business. I don't know, like maybe she needed to be knocked down a few pegs. I'm not sure why the writers took her in that way, but I hate it and I wish she'd have stayed strong independent lady. But to counter argue myself, because I know I love to have more than one opinion on things, it is nice to see a nuanced character. It's nice to see strong independent lady who also wants relationship. It's kind of so Jo March monologue to her mother in the attic. Women have ideas and brains as well as hearts.
And I'm so sick of people saying that love is just all a woman is fit for. I'm so sick of it. But I'm so lonely.
Masterful. When I watch TikTok edits of the Jo March monologue to her mother, they always leave out that second part, the "but I'm so lonely," because this is very important, and I almost feel like what Miranda actually goes through. Has everything, yet still feels like there's something missing, still feels lonely. It's not necessarily that she believes she needs a man, but it's always niggling at the back of her mind, the way that it does for Jo March. It is always nice to see complex female characters, and I've discussed this in previous videos about Carrie and how she's an anti-hero and isn't the perfect female lead. And I do believe that if Miranda was just independent girl boss lady, it would be very two-dimensional. But Steve... And the real question is he worse than Big? That is the big question, isn't it, really? Is Steve actually worse than Big? Here's the thing. Both are cheaters. Tick. Both hurt the women they're with, but Big never pretends to be anything other than Big.